Hello. So I've been making fish, as you know, out of boxes that I find in the recycling. And I found a Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc box months ago, and I wasn't making fish at the time. I was making other things, and I thought maybe I would make masks, human face masks out of this Oyster Bay box. Well, then I started making fish. So I turned them into a school of fish made of one Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc box. Well, lo and behold, I found another Sauvignon Blanc Oyster Bay box in the recycling, and I made a second school. Now, when I was making the second school of fish, I hadn't remembered what I had done with the first box, but subsequent to the first school and the second school, they are now mixed together. I thought, let's see if my thought processes about building these things has changed now that I've found a third box. Now, some of the time when I'm making these fish things, O's become I's, an O and a V together, like O over, become an I and a mouth, and E's become fins and V's become teeth. And I end up creating variations on a theme. Probably, if you look at any of the many schools that I've made, I've come up with a fish that looks like this. Maybe. Where it has a triangular tail and triangular fins, all made with a box that has contrasting colors like this. Well, I don't want to do that. I mean, I can do that, but I don't want to. So I'm trying to not overthink making fish, but I am trying to figure out a way to make fish different than how maybe I made them the last time I tried this Oyster Bay box. I do remember these letters being used for tails and for mouths and gills. Like this right here. The O and the Y are an eye and a mouth and a gill kind of a thing already made. I don't have to do much. Just cut that out and then add tails and I'm done. Add the shopping cart. But anyway, today I started cutting out this box and I made this fish. And I had made an earlier movie of this, but it turned out that everything that I was showing was way over here in the corner, so you couldn't see it, so I have to redo it. So anyway, this O and this first little thing of the Y became the mouth. So a big eye and a little tiny hesitant mouth. He's not quite sure whether he wants to eat anything or not. And in my video, I talked about, well, what are his fins going to be like? Are they going to be dark? Are they going to be light? Are they going to be... This was an option. One little tiny line of gray, curved gray line would be the tail end of all of the fins. And I thought that was too subtle or too refined for this big clunky eye. So I made this just be all white. The second fish I made out of this box was this one. Now I know I haven't made one like this before, but I made big fluffy eyelashes on this fish, and then this black and white, or this gray and white alternating stripy thing. And then I thought, well, what if this fish and this fish mated? How do fish do that? I don't know. You do the math. If they mated, they might have children that look like, okay, that's one of the grandkids. Save that for later. They might have children that look like this, where they inherit most of the father's, I'm imagining this is the father, most of the father's paleness, but the eyelashes of the mother were quite dominant in the genetic makeup. So this fish has 3 little lines on each of its fins, and this one has 3 lines on the tail fin, 2 on the dorsal and whatever that is, fin, and 1 on the little side flipper. So here they've created these 2 children. And let's say, you know, fish have different rules of navigation. And let's say that these had sex. Is that how they work? Again, I still don't know. Let's imagine these had children. So what I did, I took, and I know I haven't quite done this to the degree that I did just now. The bottom of the box, there it is, has this script which says, sometimes the world really is your oyster. Sometimes the world really is your oyster. Is should be underlined, I would think. But what do I know about copywriting? So they had children. Now, the children that they had, see the faces, where's the O and the, I don't know what that would be. It's not part of the N. What is it? I don't know what it is. It's not the oi of oyster. Is it? No. So anyway, the O and something turned into the face on this fish. The dot of an I. Come on, get in focus. I guess you're not going to. The dot of the I and the something is that an is? Became the face on that one. This one has a V and a D glued together. They weren't next to each other. And we have a bunch more. So these are the grandchildren of the original 2. And you know what I might do is frame these or put them in a grouping all by themselves and see what happens. So I know I haven't made this. You know, what I'm going to do at some point when I'm done with this box, I'm going to open up the other box that has dozens of these things already made and see how many of them actually do look similar to what I've just done here. Because I try to not repeat myself too much. Sometimes you do need to do some repetition, especially if you're, making a statement with lots of characters, cast of thousands. They all can't be leading men. You wouldn't have the budget to have Fred Astaire and Cary Grant and Rock Hudson in it. You have to have a bunch of, slim pickenses thrown in there, and then of course the cast of thousands. All of the people that would guest star in Love Boat would be in there somewhere. So, and those people can be repeated. You can show, because they're all going to be in the background, out of focus, or, trampled by Godzilla within 1 second, and you can reuse them again, because no one will have remembered them. So, repeating myself to make the background is fine in my book. So I've got this much box left. I still have room to make stuff, and I've got more glue, and I've got more time. So let's not waste it any longer. And again, I'm trying to intentionally not copy something that I did, but I can't remember what I did. But I'm trying to think outside the, when I come up with an idea, oh, I could make this be that, I think, well, what else could I make it be? I don't just stop there. I think a little bit more than I normally had in order to make sure I don't repeat myself. Where are my scissors? On the floor behind me. So I know I haven't done something like this. Or I think I haven't done something like this, where I've taken a bunch of these things and sort of made a body using all of this different kind of patterning and mixed it up a bit. So it became a little jumbled. So I might do that. These way often turn into fins, but maybe I can turn them into something else. They can be teeth, they can be a body of a fish, certainly. They can be, oops, I'm again not showing you what I'm doing. So I've got other plans. These little raindrops there, I know I haven't used them, but that could be the body of a fish. I think I may have used that already as a teeth and a mouth of a fish, but maybe I can use that again. The big X could be the eyeball of a dead fish. I don't know if I've done that yet. So I'm still having fun with these fish. And I know I should be doing other things, but I'm still having fun. Open other end. Well, so much for that. But I'm also having fun with these things more than not more than I used to, but like here we've got bones of a dead fish. Where's the X? Let's just start making a dead fish right now. There's the eye of the dead fish. Let me get a body of the dead fish. I want sort of a scrap. Okay. Eye, there. How's that? I'll just make a dead fish right in front of you. So there's that's a pretty dead fish. Okay, I'm done. Add to shopping cart. I guess all fish have to die, right? Mommy, what happens when a fish dies? I was at the Museum of Natural History at Harvard, and there were parents and their offspring looking at the displays of taxidermied animals. And one mother said, all of these animals passed away. No, they did not pass away. They were gunned down. Passed away. Well, this is a fish that passed away. Come on. It's hanging by a thread. It's too much. Well, that could be, I mean, is this the mouth or is this the mouth? That's what's fun about dead fish. When they get to this degree of decomposition, you don't quite know. You don't quite know what you're looking at. So I could have, this could be a fish that's the family of other fish that I was making. Maybe they're picnicking on this one. Maybe that's the little diorama I'll make. Grandpa, are we eating a fish? Yeah, but he passed away. But we're still eating a fish. Yeah, I know that. See, they don't have any problem, these fish, with death. Well, I'll keep adding more to him. He'll be, oh, look at that. These are some of the eyelashes left. This is related to the mother fish, grandma fish. This was grandma's mother who passed away. There you go. So they're all, rather than just letting great-grandma go to waste, they're eating her up. What do you think? I think that makes sense. Bye. Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, I made a video about these fish, And you're seeing all sorts of shadows here, but deal with it. And my thought was, I was wondering whether making fish out of the same box yesterday was going to show different evolution of fish from the fish I made using the box, the same box, Oyster Bay wine, there's a dead one, whether these fish, the new fish, the one-day-old fish, were going to be significantly different from the brown box over there. These are the new ones, those are the old ones. The old ones I made over a series of, I guess maybe a month different from the first batch to the second batch. But now they're all mixed together, so who knows? So I'm just gonna do a little bit of trip down memory lane and just see, you know, if I have, or how I have changed how I do things, or how I did things. Now, I can tell when I look at some of these things, like this one is, at the end of the day, I'm looking at my table and I've shredded pieces of paper everywhere. And I take what's left and assemble them into a fish, whereas this fish might have been earlier on. Now this, I remember this as being from the second batch. Why I remember that? Well, I just do. I wonder if there's a subtle change in color of the gray. But what's interesting, what I find interesting, is that here I thought I was being clever yesterday, and I was being clever before as well. Now, when I say clever, my tongue is in my cheek, and I'm rolling my eyes, and I'm using air quotes and all that other kind of shit. But I do remember this one too. This was from the second batch. I love that hairdo that we have going on there. And but anyway, what I'm doing with this particular video is to just show myself, with you as an audience, how one's mind, my mind, may work the same. Like this one here, I like his scruffy 5 o'clock shadow beard going on, you know. I thought I would have, I thought these were going to be, quote, more boring than they are. Now see this one, I remembered also doing a bunch like this, using the calligraphic hand-drawn lettering to make fish. Specifically just make them out of this kind of font part of typeface of the box. So they all were done, I think, during the second iteration. So what I'm doing now, you don't understand what I'm doing now, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing now. I'm just going to mix them all up because I can do that. Because they're my fish. They're my fish. I can mix them up. And what I'm going to do is try to organize them like, who were they? Darwin and his predecessors, and the scientists today, where they look at a animal or a plant and they taxonomy, that's the word, where they sort the fishes out. You know, you might think a bat and a bird belong together, but they don't, because one's a mammal and one's a bird. One's a non-mammal. And so I've got the calligraphic lettering in one pile, more or less. This has an eye made of a sun icon. Here we have the calligraphic with the stripes. So that's a different kind of fish. They're related. They have an ancestor in this direction, but they also have an ancestor in the striped family. So they're going to be the offspring of, here's another one. These two belong somewhat in the same family. So what is cool is, you know, when I'm making these fish, I'm not really thinking of the grouping, or I'm not thinking necessarily of the individuals or pairs of individuals, but it's kind of fun to do that now. I'll take this one, move this out of the way. Let's just take this one at random and this one at random. Now not only what is their offspring going to look like, but what might they, let's say they're not into that and they're just talking. So what are they saying to each other? Are they talking at cross purposes? Are they talking, who knows? But what about this one and his one tooth? What are they talking about? So the interesting thing to me is the personality that they contain in them, but also their there's a word, there's a sentence, phrase, there's something in my head that just got stuck. There's something about them that is interesting when you see them as a group, when you see them individually, when you see them as a pair, or you make your little stories. So this is kind of like, you know, my box of soldiers when I was a kid. I would, you know, play with them and move them around on my bedspread and have little wars and battles. And the next day I would say, now, how did that work? How did that battle go? How's the new battle going to be different from the old battle? And I have another little foray in the field. So this box had black only around the barcode and some printing material, and I didn't use it very often, but I did use it a little bit, so that, like, here's one of the printing symbols. So the black and white ones and the black and white and gray ones like this that have the barcode are in a separate family. Okay, now let's see, do I have any other? There's another one. So I'm putting these together like this, or I'm dividing them up like this, because what I want to do maybe is display these as if they were some sort of evolutionary family tree. So this guy has his striped long johns on, a union suit. So he goes there. So I'm thinking that's what I want to do with these. I want to create a little diorama or diagram showing the evolutionary tree of this grouping. So we might start off with a basic fish like this. This is, how more basic can you be? And then maybe it will mate with this fish. I don't know how fish do it. Birds do it and bees do it, but educated fleas do it, but I don't know, do they? I think they have to be facing each other and then do something. So birds do it, bees do it, fish do it. So these fish, this gray fish with some calligraphic tendencies, will mate with this white fish with a very simple Roman O, I, and they're going to have a child. So the child would be maybe a striped child that has both Roman and script lettering. Does one of these even exist in here? Well, this could be one of the children. There's a little bit of both going on. It has that other kind of script. So, but then somewhere down the line, a mutation has to happen where these stripes go. So maybe, maybe this one that has stripes, but also eyelashes, maybe this one could be the love child of these two that I just showed you, because it's mainly white and gray, but because of some weird stripy mutation thing, we had this eyelash business happening, and maybe the eyelash business turned into this because of magic. Somehow this was seen as a added benefit in the world of nature. Here's another pretty simple one. Big eye, little mouth, that belongs in this family here, the one that I first was dealing with, made only of that font and only with white. So that goes over there. See, now here's just a little bit of those stripes showing on the edges, and then later that would turn into this. So depending on which ones I mate with which other ones, I will come up with a family tree. So that's my thought today. I have other thoughts for today, like those thoughts and those thoughts and those thoughts over there. They might make fish. I've been making fish out of the Rolling Rock box, which live over here now. And there's little curlicues on the corners of the Rolling Rocks box that turn into the mouth and the eye. And then there's blue and green in the Rolling Rock box. So we've got that. You might think that these fish belong with the ones I just showed you, but they don't. They're from a different box. But look what's happening. I'm making marionettes. Taking another box of wine, some sort of red wine, and these are the faces of marionettes to be. So we've got Grandma here with her hairdo. That might be Mom. Their skirt. I have to figure out how the arms and legs are going to work. I may have to change her nose. She might need a nose job, that one. What was under the middle nose, the center of this coat of arms was another castle. So I had to cover that up, otherwise she'd have 3 eyes. So anyway, she's here, and maybe this will be Grandpa, who has a mustache bald head. So there's Grandma and Grandpa. There's Mom and Dad. And here's Junior crying. No, I don't know. He looks more like an older man to me. So anyway, these are going to turn into marionettes with strings. They're going to be pretty flat, but they're meant to be seen from the back row of the theater, not the front. Okay, I just stood up. I'm swaying back and forth because of my blood pressure or whatever. So these are other boxes that are going to be turned into something. This box here by itself, look at it's been stomped on to flatten, but I love you have to look at it over here. I mean, just by itself, it's an interesting, you may have to draw this because of the shapes and the geometry of the crumpled up piece of paper. If ever you need something to draw, take the drawing you just did that you failed at miserably, crumple it up, throw it on the floor, step on it maybe, pick it up, sort of uncrumple it a little bit, and then put it on a table and have a light shine on it and draw it. You'll be there all day and you'll be having lots of fun. Don't believe me? Well, here's a dead fish floating upside down. That belongs in that pile. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sort out those fish. I'm going to set them out maybe on the floor here as a family tree of fish showing evolution. And then I'm going to do something else. Now I do have things I have to do. I've been making masks for Halloween for Bloomingdale's. And I should be doing more of these. These are for mannequins at Bloomingdale's. And the Bloomingdale's bags, the big brown bag, the little brown bag, the medium brown bag, are turning into these things. But I'm having a little bit of angst. I made a bunch of them using Target bags, but Target bags, because of their graphic, was a little easier to come up with ideas. The little brown bag, the medium brown bag, and the large brown bag, which you see there, and then I've got a box full of them over here, are constricting me a little bit. So that's what I'm doing today, and it isn't even 5 o'clock in the morning. You're still in bed. Time to get up.